This Valentine's Day, treat your special someone to a romantic getaway that they'll never forget. Now, these are the package features. You get full board meal plan, that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Complimentary romantic room setup with petals and chocolate. Breakfast serenaded by morning classical songs. Now, for lunch, you can enjoy it at the Kente Grill restaurant and enjoy dinner under the stars around the bonfire at the Gazebo Garden. There's also access to swimming pool, the gym, and all in-house games. Also enjoy complimentary late checkout. Now, these are the package options. There's the Lovers Gate package, and that'll cost you some 3,700 cedis. It's ideal for a romantic getaway, a short one at that. There's also the Whoopee Getaway package, and that'll cost you some 5,700 cedis. You stay one night, you get the second night absolutely free. There's dinner on arrival and breakfast on your final day. There's also the Romantic Treat package, and that'll cost you 6,900 cedis. You stay 2 nights, you get the third night complimentary. Enjoy unparalleled luxury and relaxation. Treat your loved one to an unforgettable Valentine's Day experience at the Marlin Resort. Make sure you're booking now. I've got 2 numbers that you can call and WhatsApp on. It's 059 202 4622. There's also 059 202 4591 and also 059 202 4292. You can also email reservations at marlin-resort.com or check out marlin-resorts.com. Marlin Resort, elevated bliss awaits. Now, this morning on The Big Issue, we've tabled 2 topics that we're going to be slicing and dicing, if you will. We're talking about yesterday's committee's probe. We know that the proceedings were abruptly suspended. We'll get into why, and also take a look at President Mahama's first 30 days in office and look at some of the appointments that have been made and how they've been received by the Ghanaian populace. Now, to help me dissect these matters, I've got in studio with me Shamima Muslim. She's a deputy presidential spokesperson and a former journalist, shall I say so?
Always one.
Always one. So I'm treading cautiously this morning. She knows my tricks. I've also got with me here from the Movement for Change, Rodalyn Imoru Ayana. Good morning, Rodalyn. How are we doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Are either of you counting down to Valentine's?
No.
Oh, no, you're not concerned about the Valentine's.
What is doubt?
What is doubt?
Every day is Valentine's.
Every day is Valentine's. Oh, I love that. It means there's somebody that's making life special.
Maybe.
That was a small digression. We'll also have Dr. Samuel Efriye. He'll be joining us via Zoom, and he's a political and economics analyst. And we'll get his perspective also on the 2 topics that we have tabled this morning. Now, let's set the scene. Last week, the Speaker of Parliament set up a special committee to probe the disturbances that marred the vetting session. Now, however, yesterday, just as the investigation was gaining momentum, the Minority Caucus decided to withdraw, citing concerns that have left many wondering, was this a strategic move, a protest, or an indication of deeper divisions within the House? Now, what does this mean for parliamentary oversight? Let's take a recall of some happenings as far as this committee and its work is concerned. When we come back, I'll put the questions to my panelists.
Ask questions. Along the line, he requested that he want to meet with his leader. And so we're told, when he came back, he said the leader asked him to recuse himself and not to be part of the meeting again. We had one of the witnesses from the other side who was coming, and later on sent a text message that he will not come again because his leader said he should not come.
All right. Okay, Shamima, let me come to you. Let me come to you straight on this one. Now, last week, the Speaker, Honorable Alban Bagbin, made a decision to suspend some 4 MPs.
Yes.
We know 3 on the NPP side and 1 on the NDC side. This is following the fracas that ensued after the vetting exercise on Thursday last week. After that, there was a bipartisan plea or apology, and the Speaker decided to rescind that decision to suspend these MPs.
Yes.
After that, he set up a special committee to probe the issue and then make some recommendations after that. Yesterday, that committee started its work, began some work. We heard from a few NDC MPs recounting what they saw and what their involvement was as far as the chaos was concerned. When it got to the turn of the NPP to also have their say, they withdrew from the process, citing various reasons that I've listened to on various platforms. One, on one side, that the committee itself was set up illegally, that maybe the speaker got ahead of himself by issuing the sanctions and then going backwards and then setting up the committee to then issue sanctions. And then also, in some quarters, there is the thought that this should be done in camera, that this should be done privately, although we saw what happened publicly. But I've heard from some quarters in the NPP that this should have been done in camera, or at least some more deliberation between the leaders of the House. From where you sit, is this a failing on the Speaker's part? Does it connote some loss of control? What is the confusion? How do we make our way forward?
Well, so, I mean, good morning. This is my first time on the show after the elections, I think, right? Having been
on Big Issue, that's
Big
right.
Issue,
You've been on some of the other platforms.
Yes, I've been on the Saturday
show
program,
yeah.
Key Points, right?
That's right.
So good morning to all your viewers and to you.
Good morning.
I see you shifted.
Small shift.
Okay, small shift,
Small
yes. But you're always brilliant, so
Thank
no
you.
doubt you're going to do well
Thank you.
in this shift for now.
Thank you.
Right. So I think that what we have seen in Parliament are things that we have observed over the years, that even Parliament and former MPs and observers of our parliamentary democracy have had cause to worry about what they describe as the deteriorating standards in public discourse, starting even in the House of Parliament, which
Right.
is really where debates are supposed to be done. Parliament, as we know, is the second arm of government, isn't it? The executive, we have Parliament, and we have judiciary. So in the ranking, they are really high up there. In fact, I always say that they are the soul of the nation because they are the representatives of the people.
That's right.
And if you took a look at our 1992 Constitution, we know that sovereignty lies in the people, and parliamentarians represent the people in Parliament at all times. Yes, they play a representative role, they play a legislative role, and they play an oversight, role as well. But I think at the core of it, their real mandate is to be voices for the people. And so they are leaders. And every day, we always say that leadership is cause, everything else is effect. And if a fish would rot in our local parlance, it starts from the head.
Right.
So what we perceive or we see our leaders do have very huge implications on how the followers behave. And I like the admonishings that came from the Speaker of Parliament after the chaos erupted yet again in this 9th Parliament. We saw very unsightly scenes in the 8th Parliament, scenes we hadn't ever seen before. Chaos that erupted that actually led to the army. It was soldiers,
We
right?
saw the military storming Parliament.
Storming Parliament.
Yeah.
After MPs were halting a democratic process to elect a leader, the same leader who is today sitting in the seat as the Speaker of Parliament. Sometimes, the things, happenings can be quite weird that way. But to the extent that some people snatched ballot papers and were chewing it, honorable members,
Right.
honorable members were chewing ballot papers. I mean, that was a blot to the image and of that Parliament. And you see, half of the time, when Parliament comes under scorn and scrutiny and criticism, it is as a result of their own actions. So it is not contrived. It's what we see them do
Right.
that then leads to the criticisms, that then leads them to tell the citizens that we have offended them, and half of the time they will haul these citizens to the privileges committee.
Right.
You see, there's got to be a certain level of congruence where our leaders who lead and represent us behave in a proper manner, because you can't actually expect good behavior from someone when you yourself are dishing out bad behavior after bad behavior. You know, so you misbehave, then you come out and apologize. And so if you listen to Speaker Alban Bagbin when he set up the committee, and when he came back to accept the apology, he said even he refused to describe them as honorables. Because following the Thursday and Friday brouhaha,
right,
that he declined to describe them as honorable, and that he's heard people even call him headmaster. But well, if you are a student, then you require headmaster. Do you understand it? If you're a student, you require a headmaster, especially students who end up misbehaving. Then you need a headmaster to whip you in line, not so. But the point is that even at the highest level, the Speaker himself recognizes that those actions could not be parliamentary or honorable in any way at all.
Was he right to suspend then?
Yes, he was. I mean, Parliament is a law unto itself. They make their rules. The Speaker is the head of Parliament. He understands their procedures more than everyone else. He's one of the longest serving MPs, and he's worked in that capacity for long. If anybody understands their rules and regulations or the standing orders of Parliament, I think the Speaker does. And sometimes the leader must be seen to be taking a hard decision in order to restore a certain level of confidence, you see. And the weird thing is that this had just happened on the back of an attack against a citizen who was also alleged to have been disrespectful to a member of Parliament, you know. And I'm talking about the MFA incident.
Okay,
you know, during the vetting.
Okay,
you know,
she had some
an altercation with Anodompre,
right?
Which matter came before Parliament because he made a complaint on the floor of Parliament.
That's right.
And NDC MPs had cause to also condemn.
In fact, much to the displeasure
of the grassroots.
Of some of your grassroots.
So I always point this out as a difference between the way NDC leaders even behave when they think there's a transgression, in the way that they quickly jump in to correct what they perceive to be a wrong. You never find that on the side of the New Patriotic Party. You never observe the same, that they can quickly come out and condemn one of their own, even at the expense of eliciting displeasure from the mass. So this happened because you said somebody came to your home. You know that a man cannot be disrespected in his own home, which is Parliament. But a man can desecrate his own home, and that should be okay. A home that is actually not your home. A home that you're holding, you know, in fiduciary, you know, responsibility for the people whom you represent. By the people
certainly two wrongs would make a right.
No, two wrongs can never make a right. So which two wrongs are we referring to here? So I'm saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. And the Speaker said it, that respect is always earned. If MPs want the citizens to respect them at all times, in Parliament, outside of Parliament, the way they behave matter. How they respect themselves matter. If we watch on our televisions, the children seeing our MPs fighting, fisticuffs on the floor of Parliament, at the committee, you know, sitting. If we watch a minority leader publicly, in the full glare of the entire nation and beyond, attack viciously a clerk, a woman for that matter, calling her all sorts of unprintable names in the full glare of the general public, desecrating another human being because you perceived her to be biased. In fact, if we're speaking about bias, the NPP has had a disproportionate levels of support from the media, from civil society over the years than the NDC. Is it not the same NPP that today in fact, that studies like Afrobarometer reports has come out to say that under their watch, trust in accountability institutions have been eroded because of the daylight maneuverings. You know, the Supreme Court parking of our courts with known party members, Electoral Commission, appointing known MPP members to electoral commissions, institutions that must be cloaked with no perception of bias at all. The NPP, when they're in power, throw all caution to the wind and try to manipulate all of these institutions. And it is not me, Shamima, saying it. It is not NDC saying it. It is independent research institutions that have always revealed that these things happen. There's always these erosions of our public institutions when NPP is in power because of the love to control the narrative. And so you can't always instigate these happenings and then come and, you know, behave like you're a victim.
So you say the NPP is trying to control the narrative. I want to bring it back to the substance of this particular issue, the probe. So yesterday the committee started and we, as I mentioned, heard from a few NDC MPs who came to recount their experience as far as the chaos was concerned. Now, the NPP subsequently decided to withdraw and then the probe came to a halt. What happens now? Because from where I sit, just, you know, ears on the ground, you know, tapping into the sentiments of the everyday Ghanaian, it almost appears as though, and this is the phrase I've seen running around, that the minority is running the show. They decided not to carry on with the vetting. The vetting did not carry on.
No.
They decided to withdraw from this committee probing. The probe, as far as we know,
what we shouldn't do is to empower their distractions. You see, the NDC won a resounding mandate from the people of Ghana. It is our duty to govern. It is our duty to parry distractions. It is our duty to hold this country together. We don't have anything to prove to the New Patriotic Party. All we have to prove ourselves to is to Ghanaians and to ensure that we are working. What does that mean? It means that within the first 120 days, His Excellency's commitment to form a government and implement and roll out some specific policies to ease the hardship is #1 priority. Within 2 weeks, His Excellency named his cabinet. In fact, in less than a month, today is exactly 30 days since we came to power, we have vetted almost all of our, in fact, all the ministers of state have been vetted, reports have been written, they have been approved, more than half have been sworn in and have taken office. This is the Ghana we want to build together, a Ghana that is really working and that will not pander to the distractions of a very micro minority.
You've added another one to it. It's minor, micro, minority. Scathing.
Even if they are a happy one at that.
They say they are strong, happy, and formidable.
So that's fine.
They say they are mighty.
Fine. But I'm saying that whatever they're doing now just, you know, further goes to prove to Ghanaians that they took the right decision by voting them out. And you see, the committee hearings were announced before the apology came, just by way of correcting the order of events. The committee was set up just in the immediate aftermath of the chaos. But the apology came, you know, after the committee had already announced that they were going to start hearing. So it's like a post facto thing, because they have now come to apologize. I've heard some say that after the apology, then we should have just, you know, stopped the committee hearings. But I always say that, you see, we must become learning organizations. And that's what we don't do, that we keep repeating the same error after error. We need to know what happened. There's got to be a report, even though people have apologized, because if there was no wrong, nobody would have apologized, isn't it?
Right.
So Afenyo Markin was on the floor of Parliament. He apologized to Ghanaians for the conduct. He said he took full responsibility for the chaos that erupted, and he also apologized to the lady clerk for his very blistering attack, unprovoked attack, you know, on her which was really in very poor and sad taste. So that apology has happened. And, you know, some people say that the Speaker's suspension was biased. It couldn't have been biased because we all saw who the transgressors were on the floor of Parliament. And it included an NDC MP who also got into a bit of a scuffle with the NPP counterpart. Right. And his name was also on the list of the suspended MP. So it couldn't have been an action taken against the New Patriotic Party or the minority in Parliament. By deciding to stay out of it is also another way of escaping accountability. Isn't it?
Is that what is going on?
It is. They want to escape accountability. They don't want to contribute to their... And they have the right. People have a right not to self-incriminate because
they can say that they won't be part of this process.
And they have the right to. And they have the right to.
Right.
They have the right to. And the Speaker also reserves the right to take action based on what he might feel to be a breach, if there's any breach, because if Parliament sets up a committee to investigate a matter that you're involved in and you, so moto, decide that you will not participate, by the laws of Parliament and the rules of Parliament, is there a breach? I think the Speaker of Parliament will clarify those matters.
So in due course we'll know from the Speaker.
Course,
and I think that all eyes will be on the Speaker post what happened yesterday to see really what action will be taken. And I think that will be very decisive for a lot of Ghanaians in terms of what we're seeing, what you term as distractions and so on and so forth. Yes. But Shamima, hold that thought. I'll come back to you. We'll probe this a bit further. Rhodalyn is also here. And Rhodalyn, we need a strong minority, strong opposition to keep government on its toes. That's fact. From where you sit, how do you assess this minority's efforts in doing so? Yes, it's early days. It's been 30 days since the President John Dramani Mahama administration took office. How do you rate their efforts? They say they're small but mighty. Is this disruptive or is this helping our democracy?
Good morning to our viewers. Helen, from where I sit, I don't think we have a minority that is patriotic. They are a minority that have come to be divisive. They are ready to misinform. It looks like something that they have sat down and planned to make things difficult for government. And I was so sad on the 30th of January that people who call themselves honorable should behave the way they did. Not just ordinary members of Parliament, but chief whips. Ano Dompre is the chief whip, minority chief whip. And you hear a chief whip saying, "Montutu cables, remove the cables, destroy them. State property." And you expect that I would say that you are patriotic. You're not. Because you were destroying property that belonged to the state. Property that you are supposed to safeguard, you were out there destroying at the full glare of Ghanaians with no respect for us. I don't think that the NDC is probably seeing what we are seeing from the outside.
You think they're missing something?
I think they are missing something.
They need to listen to the people.
They need to listen to the people a little bit more. Because what we are seeing is a minority that is out to destroy. A minority that is out to make things difficult for the ruling government to succeed. A minority that has decided that whatever it's going to take, whether by misinformation, whether by whatever, they will do to make sure that governance is difficult for the NDC. We have a minority leader that would be willing to ask 110 questions and take 5 hours to vet a candidate.
He says that's not new, Rhodalyn. This is something that we've seen many a time.
It's content.
Okay.
Why do you ask people questions that do not relate to what they're coming to do? You give 5 minutes to ask them questions that relate to the offices they are going to occupy. Those are the places that we want to know. What are you going to do as Minister for Defense, as Minister for Agriculture, as Minister for this. What are you going to do to benefit Ghanaians? You leave that and you ask about what house are you in? Are you in a rental? How much? What has that got to do with what office you're going to occupy? How is that going to help us? There are other ways, there are other avenues, there are other offices that you can ask those questions.
But what about this idea that the vetting process is a holistic process? We want to know about their expertise, but yes, some time could be dedicated to finding out about their character. If they are somebody, for example, who has been quite prominent on issues about accountability and so forth, you might want to pose some questions to test that. What do you make of that angle?
If it had to do with accountability and all those things, I think we wouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
But when you have to go into the social media to want to get people to denounce things that they said about an ex-president, which to them at that time was the fact. For them, everybody has an opinion. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what kind of an opposition are we? You know, the NPP are still in denial.
About what?
Oh, about their loss.
Yeah. They're still reeling.
They are still reeling. They are still in denial. They don't actually believe that they have lost. And they think that there is another way that they can be heard, that they can take control, because that's what they're used to. And somehow their leader, Afeni Markins, has lost it. He still thinks he's majority leader. I think the idea of minority leader is eating at him so hard. Because if you quite remember, he said that, you know, it was not good for him to be...
He said spiritually to sit on that seat.
And he's sitting there and it's haunting him. So somehow he gets the opportunity and he wants to override everybody. So it is something that they have decided that we are going to make this government ungovernable, this country ungovernable for everybody. You understand? And then at the end of it, people will see that after all, we were a better side, but that's not the issue. The dynamics on the ground will tell us whether you were good or you were bad. And for me, what we are seeing now in 30 days, at least we can see that a government has been in power for 30 days, it's brought its ministers, it's running. What we want to see are the results. Those people that have been put in those positions, are they going to be able to deliver? That's the most important thing.
Okay.
And that is where I would expect for the NPP to be looking at. Critically taking a look at all sectors of the economy and those who are manning those sectors as to whether they are delivering, as to whether we are actually getting value for money for keeping them there. But not to go probing into things that, look, if you're going to probe into anybody's assets, and we all know, we sat here last week and I was saying it, if you have to go and declare your assets, and it goes into an envelope, goes into a drawer, that nobody knows what's in it.
Nobody can open it.
And nobody can open it. And you go trying to pry. The person just says, I'm sorry, I've already declared my assets. Now you're wasting our time for those of us who are viewing from home, if you continuously banter the person on it. So I think that we are having a minority that is still in denial, that is out to destroy, that thinks that the only way to appease their grassroots is to seem to be tough, is to seem to be giving the NDC a run for their money when it comes to parliamentary affairs. And saying it sometimes that they haven't seen anything yet. What haven't they seen? 88 against 184. What are you going to show them?
Are those numbers, though, the 88 against the 184, numerically?
Yeah, numerically.
Are you seeing that strength play out?
That is what is missing.
What do you want to see, if I may ask?
No, we want to see
brawling.
Not brawling, but at least standing for what it is. I mean, you should have been able. Your chairman sat there, and they were apparently allowed the minority leader to ask as many questions.
Well, he gave him that time frame.
Because that is what is allowed.
Ask,
That's what they agreed. That's the parliamentary practice. They have agreed together that the ranking member would be allowed unlimited number of questions.
So that is the
convention. Unless we go back, yes, apparently
time.
this has been the practice beyond this parliament.
But what you say, really, even if it's that's the case, the content you say should be different.
The content should be different.
Right.
The content is what is important for Ghanaians.
It's been the same criticism that the appointment committee has had over the years, because there's no structure, there's no agreed format.
That means that's an indictment on our parliament. They need a structure.
In fact, Rodan, I was going to ask you about this, because you talked about the vetting process, and that's what caused all of this. That's the genesis. Do we need some reforms so we have structure? We know that this ranking member gets this amount of time, or so and so, because a lot of Ghanaians are saying that this vetting process appears to be one of political point scoring. And from what I gather from what you're saying, that's what you are observing, with persons being urged to apologize for things that they've said, whether or not they felt convicted to say that. So you agree some change has to be made? I think
some change has to be restructured. It has to be restructured, and then we'll find that everybody is given a certain set of questions which must be compulsorily answered before the other ones that are unnecessary. Because if you should interview someone for 6 minutes and go on someone for 5 hours, what excuse do you have? 6 minutes because you feel that that person doesn't like being queried, or that person gets squeamish, or that person... That is not for us to know.
So if we have reforms, then it's uniform. Nobody has to do 7 hours. Somebody does 6, somebody does 30. Then we have a format, and the Ghanaian populace can...
I think so. And maybe, I don't even know why it should be parliamentarians interviewing them. Maybe we should get people who are well-versed in those sectors to be the ones that would interview the appointees.
Right.
Then we might be able to know, because it's not everybody sitting there who is an MP, a member of the committee, who might know a lot about fisheries, or know a lot about roads, or know a lot about the health and things. And they just give out all kinds of questions. We want content. We want to know. For instance, we wanted to hear, Greater Accra, what are you going to do about sanitation? Because the whole of Accra is thinking, so what was she going to do about sanitation? We wanted to know, how are you going to decongest our roads, from all those things? Because all those things, how about street lights? How about, all those things, markets? We wanted to know plans for the markets. But she didn't get to be asked those questions. She was just let off after 6 minutes. For me, that was not right. So I think that we should restructure this whole process of vetting, and if possible, bring in the right kinds of people. Because if we are going to have this kind of you do me, I do you, or a vendetta type of thing, then it's not going to augur well for us going forward.
Certainly. We won't make progress if we're always painted
we're not going to make progress.
Shamima, you wanted to make a quick one.
To be honest,
I want to go to our expert, but I'll give you a minute.
Just a minute. I mean, to be honest, I think that vetting must just go beyond assessing the technical competence of someone, to also assess his character, his demeanor under pressure, his integrity. And I think that there's an ongoing debate as to how much of a private life should inform a public, the assessment of someone's public, office or public life. It's a debate that's ongoing, but I think, to be honest, we must allow some of those private questions, what people have said in the past, what they believe, their values. It would have a bearing on how they live. But of course, I think there's a bit of reasonability to it that we can all objectively assess and say that, no, this one was just too much. And it was obvious from what was happening that indeed it was political point scoring, and to ensure a certain humiliation of candidates that they believe were very, very hard on them in their time in opposition, really.
But Shamima, is it going to be difficult to ask people to have a format that would include all these things?
It is Parliament that needs to, because they have just reviewed their standing orders. So I think, again, that is why some of these hearings are important, to document the key learnings. And it should inform what they propose to do going forward. Because again, it just doesn't make sense to me to say that a ranking member can have unlimited number of questions.
Because now we see what happens as a result of that.
Discretion can always be abused. So there's got to be a certain range of reasonability to it, I think.
And that's why discussions such as this are important. We get these views out, and the powers that be can tap into the sentiments of the everyday Ghanaian. Let's speak with Dr. Samuel Ifriye. He's a political and economics analyst. Doc, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes.
And good morning to beautiful ladies there. I'm so blessed to have these wonderful ladies with me.
You are. You are indeed. Yes,
Yes.
you're welcome. You're welcome, certainly.
And
What?
congratulations, Tamima.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Tamima. Yes.
Thank you very much.
At least we have been seen on the media, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
You do your best for her.
I will, inshallah.
All right, Doc, let's talk about the dynamics in Parliament between the minority and the majority. Now, a lot of Ghanaians say that Parliament is simply not getting its act together, and there are genuine concerns about accountability. Are we just engaged in political point scoring at this point, or is some real work being done?
Yes, thank you once again, and your viewers as well. I wish all of them. You know, when it comes to Parliament, the way Parliament has been evolving, that is what we are seeing now. We're seeing there's a different direction towards Parliament from the 7th and 8th Parliament. We are seeing some kind of chaos, some kind of disagreement that result in man-fist fighting here and there. And these are the new trends that is entering our Parliament, democracy. And the Speaker is having a difficulty of handling some of these issues because that has not been our trend. And that is what is making the dynamics different now. And I think that it's hard time the Speaker tried to look at ways to handle some of these chaotic situations in Parliament. You know, from the 8th Parliament, or the 7th Parliament, you see the young ones are coming in, and you realize that those who came in, at least some few of them are showing some sign of a chaotic kind of action. You know, they are young. So I'm not blaming,
All right. All right, Doc, I think we're having a little bit of a challenge hearing you clearly on the Zoom link.
But there was a certain kind of energy that they brought into Parliament.
Okay.
So anything that
all right.
Really?
All right, Doc. Doc, apologies. You go in and out. So let's pause it and then we'll reconnect with you. Because this point about new MPs has also come up quite a bit, and we'd love to get your perspective on that. There was a lot of talk about, you know, the high attrition in Parliament and what the consequences could be. I think we're seeing some of that play out. So, Doc, let's reconnect with you, and then you can expand on that further. Okay, so Shamima, this idea that we have too many young ones with so much youthful energy and boisterousness, exuberance in Parliament. I mean, it's come up quite a bit. The high attrition is going to cost us, and and when that conversation came, it was really about the expertise and the knowledge. Now I think it's that the youth are coming in with too much fire. You are young.
Yes.
Young. What do you make?
Okay. On a lighter note, you see, this is what happens when you fill up a room with testosterone. So
okay,
if we inject a huge dose of hormones in there, we will not be seeing some of these scenes in all. That's on the night. That's why we need more women in Parliament. Do you think that this can happen?
You say that we are the more reasonable sex, the more measured sex?
I don't want to be stereotypical, but I'm saying that I'm not sure if we had women around the table, we would have been minded to lift tables,
to get together, to pick up the table.
I'm not too sure. Well, some very few, but no, perhaps we'll have shouted matches.
Yes.
You know, there's this joke that says that if more women were leaders of the world, what you would have are countries not speaking to each other, but definitely not war.
And then maybe after a few weeks, you extend the olive branch and
Ochokobila.
But ladies, I've got Doc back on the phone, so please hold your thoughts. Okay. Let's continue with him, and then we'll expand on this further. Doc, you're back. Hello.
Yes. I'm back.
Please carry on for us. You're talking about the youthful factor and what maybe that is contributing to some of the chaotic scenes that we're seeing.
Yes, I was just trying to describe the nature of Parliament of late.
and some kind of trend that is making our parliament a little bit of chaotic. And we're saying that some few young ones that came in, trying to exert, their energy, any disagreement, and some of these experienced people tend to use them in a way just to achieve their goals. But I believe that now it beholds on the speaker, who is one of the experienced MPs in Ghana for now, to build some kind of consensus with the leaders in the House. And I believe that we should learn from Mahama Ayariga's style of leadership. These situations when a type of leader and the style counts a lot.
Right.
I think people are saying that the NDC, the majority side, should exert their numbers, should do that. I think this time you have to be very careful because you are in government, you have the numbers, you have everything, and the minority also knows this.
Right.
The only thing that they can do is to use in code, noise, to frustrate you, to make you uncomfortable. But they will know that they will not make any real impact, especially when you are using numbers to vote. So that is what I would like the majority side to be cautious and adopt the style of Mahama Ayariga's diplomacy and consultations, consensus in a way, so that if you don't use that, I'm telling you, the minority, and that the style of minority has been evolving. That's what it has been for all this while.
Okay.
And the moment someone changes to become a minority leader, we can talk of Honorable Kumbo, we can talk about Haruna, we can talk about Atoforsen, the moment you tend to become a minority side, your behavior changes, your trend changes, your analysis changes. And that is what is making a difference in our kind of leadership style. So it's something that the moment you have that title, it tends to make you behave in a different way. So let's have a way. Maybe it can be talked to, because I listened to him and he said that it's a learning experience. Maybe as people, as he's going and doing it, he might be taught with some kind of directions or attention, so that he tends to at least moderate his kind of behavior a little.
Right.
But in all, I think everything beholds on speaker to try, because I believe that the speaker could have consulted the leadership in the House, try to build consensus before some of these rulings. If it doesn't work that way, it will create a lot of problems for the speaker himself and Parliament. And that is the image. So
right.
I believe that the speaker should adopt a different style of handling issues as compared to the Hung Parliament, so that at least things can be well for all of us. But this chaotic situation needs to be stopped. It's condemnable, and we are not supporting any action, and it has to stop now, so that we all have a good representative for parliamentary democracy.
Now, Doc, I mean, you're a political analyst. Let's talk about maybe if you can weigh in on this, the psychology behind having a small number, a very small number in Parliament, and yet having a very, shall I say, boisterous exterior. The minority say, yes, we're small, but we're formidable, we're mighty. You are saying that might not be the way to go, but can you see how that posture might then excite the base, if you will, or give them some hope or confidence that it's not going to be too terrible of 4 years? Is the minority leader completely out of place in taking this stance, or is there some merit, at least for the NPP party, in taking up this posture?
When you look at the posture of the NPP, the result is one aspect of it. The defeat, which is humiliating, is one aspect. And, it has saddened a lot of members, and they need to have a reassurance. They need to be, at least to have a hope. And so some people might condemn Afenyo Martin, but I think for the party side, he is bringing some people out from these kind of defeats. That is the party, not the general consensus. So the party is what they are looking at. So that's what I'm saying, that the way to handle the minority is to adopt the style of Mahama Ayariga's diplomacy and consensus building. If they do that, the minority will not have a way out to create or frustrate them. Because when you bring them, they will not come out. And they will use every available means to ensure that they will punch holes. That is a strategy, and they are going to do it. So
the members, the majority side should not be deceived by the numbers, but they should try as much as practicable to bring these people on board and silence them through diplomacy. And I think that one will work for the majority side, rather than using the hard, because for me, the minorities have nothing to lose. You are forming your government. You have all these things that you have to set up. So they can't make any decision. They can't do anything, but they will frustrate you. They will make you uncomfortable in your ways of doing things. And that is what the majority side need to handle that. And also from the point of view of the speaker should ensure that the style that he adopted on the hand should not be seen that he can always have his leeway. Because the issue that brought up in, he could have handled it so straight away by appointing a committee or privilege committee and push them, all of them, to that place. Rather than looking at the committee and backing them, this could have been done in a different approach. That could have even brought a lot of some kind of damning image to these MPs that caused these chaos. So there should be a different style of leadership in Parliament now, and I believe that will be the way out, so that the minority will not, excuse me to say, to make noise in there.
All right. Now, Doc, finally as well on this particular issue, because we know that the chaos really ensued from the vetting process and the happenings during the vetting process, what do you say to those who think it's time for there to be some reforms so that, for example, the minority doesn't have all day and all night, if you will, to ask questions? Do you think we should have some uniformity in the process?
Yes. And I think I was highly disappointed when I believe that the regional minister of Greater Accra came and was not asked of any question. I was highly disappointed. I don't know, maybe it was due to medical situation or what, but any reason was not given.
Well, Doc, reasons were given. Bear with me. So at least from the minority leader, he says, well, we know her, and so we know her character. We know what she can do. She was supported, or at least during the vetting, supported by members of the NPP as well as members of the NDC. And generally, I believe that is the reasoning that has been advanced. And also that, under those types of circumstances, the pressure would be too much for her to contain. Those are the two different answers, at least, that I have perused.
Yes, I agree, but I will not agree totally to what you're saying. If you know her, we don't know her, and she's coming in for all of us to be a minister for Greater Accra, the capital city of Ghana. At least we need to have, if there's some kind of pressure or whatever, the job that she is coming to do is a different terrain altogether. So I think they could have given her some 10 minutes or 5 minutes just to describe and even handle one or two issues in Parliament. But, no one was questioned. Others are being given more hours to ask questions. And this is where people might interpret it in a different way. Because I believe that we need to have a system that can make these kind of committee or the timing, at least we cannot say 2 hours or 5 hours, but I think the chairman can try to moderate some of these situations or questions that comes along with these interviews, so that we can have a fair deal about it. Because the issue that you look at is your CV. You talk about your personality. They talk about the work that you are coming to do, and even your engagement as a politician. These are all issues that we try to do. But some of them were being kept long because of their political statement here and there.
Right.
So I think that we need to have a way of handling some of these committees and even code of conduct. Some of these things have to be part of the Parliament so that we could improve. I think there's a gap somewhere in Parliament, and I believe that experts should meet to try to resolve some of these issues for all of us.
Certainly. And Doc, finally on this issue, what is the way forward? The Speaker set up a special committee to probe the fracas that ensued last week, Thursday, after the vetting committee. The minority says they will not be part of this process, citing many reasons, including the illegality of this, what they say this committee is, and also that this should be handled in camera. This should be handled between the leaders and should be handled privately. How do we move forward to ensure accountability? Ghanaians are watching for what the Speaker will do next.
Yes, I think that the Speaker needs to call leadership from both sides and try to resolve the issues and know the different ways to resolve these issues. I believe that will be the best way. Because sometimes Speaker will come out with a directive without even trying to consult these leadership. For me, let's call the minority leaders, let's call the majority leaders, let all of them come together so that they will have a way of handling these issues in the public space and also in Parliament. If not, it can also go back here and there, and I believe that it doesn't give a good face for Parliament. Parliament needs to be repositioned, needs to be rebranded, and I think that will be the way forward for all of us to believe in Parliament. Because Parliament is losing its credibility. Parliament is losing its formidable part of being one of the arms of government about the role that they have been given. I think it's not good for Parliament, and I believe that they need rebranding or repositioning in terms of what the Constitution has assigned to them. If not, I believe that you will regret in a different form of our governance system.
Doc, thank you for that perspective. Do stick with us. Our next topic will be coming up shortly, and I'll read out some of your messages. Do keep them coming for those of you who are watching us on the stream. And ladies, you've sparked some debates. According to the gentleman on the stream, if it were full of ladies, it would be a whole different ballgame. But that's on the lighter note. I'm seeing all of your comments. Thank you for that. Ahovi Francis says, good morning. Good morning to you, Francis. He says, there is no respect and dignity in the House of Parliament anymore. The standing orders need to be amended to suit modern standards. And Ifo says, Massa, the women will do worse. We'll skip by that one. Emmanuel Williams says, enjoying the conversation.
We certainly not be chewing paper. That one I know.
That one you say it will be definitely not. No. I'll spoil my lipstick. Okay, now this one from Agongo Roger says, even if the minority refuses to avail themselves to the committee, per the information gathered so far, he says, Anod Dompre will still face the law. So I believe you're speaking about criminal damages and all of that. I mean, even in the civil sense, that could potentially take flight, but I'm no lawyer. Also, Filippo says, good morning. Let's all unite and build our homeland, Ghana. It's important. Some more of your messages here. And this one is from Yao Fibri. He says, selecting the minority members of the committee without the concerns of the minority group. Such case, in addition to illegal sanctions, apology, and the Speaker rescinding his decision to call back the 4 MPs, is enough for the committee to halt its mandate. Okay, thank you for that message. I know that school of thought has also been swelling. Ladies, let's wrap up on this one in just a minute each, please. Rhodelyn, let me come to you. What is the way forward? We've seen what's happened so far, how this issue has traveled. For now, I believe vetting is suspended so we can make heads and tails of what is going on. What do you want to see from the Speaker and also by extension from Parliament as a whole?
Okay, I read somewhere this morning that actually calling off the committee meeting, that the Speaker was not aware and that the Speaker had traveled, and somehow they felt that, according to what I read, that it came from the minority, asking for the meeting to be stopped. Going forward, I think that I would really wish that Parliament would make sure that all those who took part in this disgraceful act will pay for the damages that was caused. Someone has to pay for those things, for the equipment that was destroyed. Someone has to pay for them. And I think that going forward also, they should all apologize to this country, because what they did was appalling. What they did was just something that was not Ghanaian. We are not used to seeing our members of Parliament behave in certain ways. And this way was one of those days that most Ghanaians were not very happy with.
Right.
So I think that also the Speaker must put his foot down. I trust that Bagman is doing a good job, and I will encourage him to do more. I'll encourage him to be more firm on all sides, and for the minority leader to know that, yes, there's defeat, but you must manage it in a certain way that will not bring destruction to your country, or that will make things difficult for those who are trying to repair damage that you have caused. Yeah.
Thank you, Rodelyn. And Shamima, also your final bite on this issue.
Just a little comment about blaming the young people.
Yes.
I think that with parliamentary work, it's also about experience. And if you look at the profile of the individuals that get caught up in these, brawls and chaos, they are not first-time MPs. They're actually people who returning MPs. So I think that we cannot say that young people shouldn't have their seats around the table. Where we are going now as a country, the youth is at the center of everything, and they must also be around the decision-making table. I mean, our freedom fighters were all very young people, so the experience that they have should also count. I think that's what I would like to speak about. If you're experienced in Parliament, you should be able to use your experience to calm matters down and to opt for, the path of least resistance as much as you can, and avoid these very chaotic scenes. Also to add that, perceptions are real, and then if we continue fueling perceptions, it is we ourselves that will erode the public's trust in us, and people would also find it easy to disrespect you publicly. So I'd like to reiterate for all parliamentarians, especially leadership, that again, as Speaker Bagwin said, to whom much is given, much is definitely expected, and that leadership is cause, everything else is effect. So as much as they want the public to understand, cooperate, and respect them, they must show us the visuals that would convince us that they themselves respect the hallowed grounds that they walk on a daily basis, so that we can also, give them the honor they deserve as the people's representatives. So by all means, I also agree that we shouldn't always be seen to be hauling citizens before the Privileges Committee and be punishing them for what we accuse them of to have breached, parliamentary rules or regulations. But we should also be seen to be congruent in the way we hold our own selves accountable when you breach. So at least for those who were part of this chaos, because destruction of property has occurred.
That's right.
We must see some level of punishment, whether that means surcharging them to replace those items or to pay for the cost of those items. Let us see Parliament showing leadership in that direction, so that when they extend same standards to ordinary citizens, we will understand that they are just being, consistent in their application of their own rules and regulations. That's what I would say on that matter.
All right, ladies, thank you for your perspectives on this particular issue. Of course, we're keeping a close eye on what happens next. I'm not sure if the committee will be looking to sit again today and get some more testimony from witnesses and other persons who were involved in the fracas last week, Thursday. But of course, if that happens, we put you front and center. We'll make sure that you are informed, and we'll bring you those proceedings accordingly. Let's get on to our second topic, and we're discussing the first 30 days of the John Dramani Mahama administration. Some appointments have been made, some fresh ones coming through just yesterday. Some deputy ministers have been mentioned. Now, is this a bold move to reset Ghana? What are your thoughts? Do keep your messages coming on our streams. We're still streaming on our various platforms, and you'll see on the screens now some deputy minister nominees who are yet to enter the vetting chamber. And I'm sure for some of them it's going to be a long day or a long night. Of course, we'll put you front and center. Let me come back to Doc on this one and pick his thoughts on these nominations that have been made by President Mahama. Before we do so, though, let's take a look at who these individuals are, this new raft of nominees. You've got Thomas Nyako Ampim, Ministry of Finance. You've also got Ebenezer Oklite Telabi, Ministry of the Interior. Also, Ernest Broja Jinfi, Ministry of Defense. Clement Abbas Apak, Ministry of Education. You also have Richard Jan Mensah, Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Alhassan Suhini, Ministry of Roads and Highways. Also, Justice Shrem Sai, Ministry of Justice and Attorney General. And Yusuf Sulemana, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Some more on that list. Rita Na Odole Soa, Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Gisela Tete Agbutui, Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources. Also, Yusuf Isaka Jaja, Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Then we also have John Kofi Seto Dumelo, Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And finally, Samson Ahi, Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness, as well as and industry, I beg your pardon. All right, let's speak with Doc, and Doc is still with us, Dr. Samuel Efriye, and pick his thoughts on these particular nominations. And Doc, what is your analysis of President Mahama's early governance strategy from where you sit? It's only been 30 days, but I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yes, you know, I've described President Mahama as one of the experienced leader in our fourth republic, because he has risen from the lower level to become an MP, become a minister, become vice president, become president, and also to become an opposition leader for 8 years and coming back. There is no leader in our fourth republic who has such an experience like President Mahama. And that is what defines him. So we expect that in his coming back, the experience that he has gotten will make differences in his governance. And I think that is what we are seeing it now. Just reducing the number of ministers to 60 is something that tells us that things can be workable. Because earlier, we realized that some presidents were just not able to reduce it and even add more. That him being an experienced politician or a leader, he's telling us that it's possible, and at 60 is workable. So maybe in future, any leader that comes in can even say that 50 or 40 will also work. And that is the trend I believe that he's trying to. And all the things that he said, he's working on it and is in place. I think in some few months, I think 30 days, he has been in governance with ministers, state institutions, forums that he has set up, educational forum, economic forum, dialogue, and these are issues that he promised Ghanaians that he wants to do within his 120 days. And it's showing some kind of positive by having these committees and these appointments or nominees in place. And I think that is a kind of him. And I believe that he has the opportunity, as the manifesto says, reset Ghana. He is the only president that can change a lot of things for our country, because majority in parliament, so he can do, and not say everything, but legally, things that he wants to do by using parliament is possible. You will not have any challenges there. So President Mahama, I believe that he should avoid more mistakes based on his experience. And I think that he also has to take critical decisions that will change our governance system, and that will be his legacy that he can give to Ghanaians, and will be remembered for that. So I think that he's on good note. And also, the ministers that he's appointing now, is so encouraging that the young ones are being seen, and he's rewarding young ones with loyalty and with commitment. You see those names there. We can talk about John Dumelo, we can talk about President Fee. These guys are young, they have been with the president all this while, they were committed to it. And I think that is what it will encourage the young ones in the party to also do their best. And it's a strategy that I believe that it will work for the NDC in the coming years, so that people will work hard. I'm just that disappointed that, I'm having beautiful ladies with me now, and I saw only two. I think that the ministers and deputies should be pushed a little bit of that. But we realize that it's appointees to state institutions like these state and other, you see that more women are being placed there. And I don't know whether that is a balance or that is a way to ensure that these young ladies are also getting into government.
Right.
I believe that so far, I think it's on course, and we are hoping for the best for all the appointees that will be coming in, so that we have a good system for all of us.
Now, Doc, you talk about the 60 ministers. I'm not sure if you heard Honorable Afenyo marking sometime a few weeks back, and he says that number is too moderate and should be increased. You say that it's a workable number and it will yield results. Do you think that there's any merit to what Honorable Markin said in terms of the president increasing the numbers? Do you think that could put a lot of pressure on the ministers that have been appointed and will be finally appointed?
Yes, for the number being increased, I don't think that President Mahama will go beyond that. But it will put a lot of pressure, as you know, for ministers that will not have deputies, because not all ministers will have deputies.
Right.
And, and I think that we should also make use of these technocrats there. Sometimes the politicians just do the cover-up, and then these technocrats will be just relaxed. But I think they have been there, we can work, and we can make use of them a lot. And we should make all these technocrats and these civil servants to work well, instead of pushing everything to the political. The political leader, you are there to shape policies and to ensure that government policies are being implemented. So they should also try to delegate more and make these technocrats and these civil servants to work to achieve whatever they want. If they do that, I believe they can make impact rather than them being overloaded with a lot of work. So they should have a new style of leadership. The new ones that are coming in with the city, I think, if you don't have a deputy minister, you know how to work yourself out. You have to use a lot of technology, a way of trying to handle issues, and also delegate and make people to work, give targets, give performance. And I believe that if those things happen, they can do it. Yes, it's a new challenge, and I think it's possible because some countries, they have even less number than what we have. So I believe that it's workable, and we have to make a new dimension, change our style of leadership, and to make sure that we because the performance of these 60 ministers will be after 1 year or 2 years, 2 years going. That's what might see the outcomes of some of these ministers without deputies, or even deputies with them and other issues. We will see the performance, and I believe that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. They should change their way of doing things. They should change their modus operandi, and I believe it will work well for them.
Right. And also, Doc, in terms, you mentioned loyalty. When it comes to appointments, how should a president balance loyalty as against expertise? Because that argument comes up quite often. In fact, after some appointments were made by the president, there was a lot of agitation from the grassroots because they felt as though some persons' loyalties were not rewarded. What do you make of that, and what is that balance that has to be struck to ensure that, yes, you do reward loyalists, but that they're the people who can actually deliver on the mandates given to them?
Yes, exactly. I agree 100% with you. But, there are certain positions that you need competence and you need loyalty. And there are some areas that you can have a moderate about certain positions, So I know that for now, I don't think that anyone that has been given a position doesn't have the competency to handle that. No, I don't know anyone that can be given, can be assigned that he doesn't have the competence that is. But I think now President Mahama appointment is on good grounds, in terms of qualification, in terms of experience also counts here. And sometimes I think he's rewarded a lot of party loyalists and those who are committed and even those who are capable. You see, earlier, the NDC were not having a lot of, people who have certain kinds of qualification. But now it has changed. We see a lot of lawyers, we see a lot of professionals in the NDC now, and you cannot say that they don't qualify. Maybe the experience-wise, but experience may be a gap, especially the young ones. But I think as we have been advised that they have to learn faster so that they can do the work. And then every work you have to learn. So that one, I don't think that there's no one that has been appointed that is not qualified or is not competent to handle that. Maybe the experience is where that person might be lacking, but I think that one can also be handled if it has a good coach or a leader to help that that nominee.
All right, certainly, Doc, thank you so much for that, for your thoughts and perspectives on that particular issue as we're assessing the first 30 days of the President Mahama administration and some of the appointments or nominations, shall I say, that have been made. But I think we can segue a little bit and have a conversation about what happened yesterday so that some clarifications can be made. A number of you asking questions about why the process was truncated yesterday. And I'm talking about the process of the probe into the chaos that ensued last week. Now, the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Honorable Emmanuel Bedra, is on the phone lines so that we can clear up a few things and get some clarity also on the way forward. Honorable, good morning to you. Honorable, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
Right, now, yesterday there was some seeming confusion. We saw that the committee was underway. We saw that some MPs were asked questions about what they witnessed and so on and so forth. Subsequently, though, we saw that the process was truncated. From what we understand, the minority decided to no longer take part. Is that the case, or were there other orders that came in to stop or halt the process?
Yeah, thank you. Once again, good morning to your charity viewers and listeners. Let me put it in a context,
Sure.
The context of what happened yesterday, so that your viewers and listeners can be abreast of what exactly happened yesterday.
Certainly.
You're all aware that the Speaker has set up this committee, special committee, to investigate and report to the House to identify members who were involved in the disturbances and destroying of public property.
That's right.
The parliamentary property. And so we are 7 member committee, made up of myself and other 76 members, 2 from the minority side and then 5 from the majority side.
Right.
And so that was on Friday. Quickly Monday, because we're giving 10 days to bring the report. And so Monday we met as a committee. 6 of us met. 4 of us were online. 4 of us were in person. 3 were on Zoom. But our sister, Honorable Abena, could not join because she claimed her network. She was in the conference, so she could not join us online. So I believe 6 of us had a meeting, and we agreed on the modalities as to how this thing should be done, because this is a special committee, and you can come out with your own modalities, how you want the process to go.
Right.
And we agreed that because all of us were not there, we were not witnesses to what happened, we look at the videos available. That's one. We identify people who were witnesses to the application, and then we also identify those who were directly involved. So 3 stages. We watch the video, we identify people who were witnesses, who were there, and the 3rd one will be those who will be directly involved. Then we'll write our report because we all know this. And so we decided that on Tuesday, we'll watch all the videos. And that was when I came out with my first statement to inform the public that this is what we wanted to do. We will have our first meeting on Tuesday. That's exclusively for members. But we also noticed that in this country, or all of...
Honorable. Okay, it appears that we might have lost, or appears that we've lost Honorable Bedra. He's the chairman of the ad hoc committee that was set up by the Speaker to probe the chaos that ensued. Okay, he's back on the line. Honorable, let's hear you, please.
Yeah, when did I went off?
You were explaining to us the proceedings just before you took off on Tuesday.
Okay. So I'm driving, so let me stop and
Sure.
then I can.
Certainly.
Okay, so I'll stop now. Good. Can you hear me well now?
Yes,
Can I
loud and
continue?
clear. Yes.
Good. So the arrangement was that we will have a three-pronged approach. The first one was to watch the videos ourselves and identify those who were there as witnesses to come and give their witness account. Then the second leg will be those who were directly involved in either breaking of chairs or whatever.
Right.
And so that will be the second one. So we decided that on Tuesday we will have a full video viewing with members.
Right.
And then we brought in someone from the Signal Bureau to authenticate an expert in forensic, forensic technique or technology. Authenticate that were sent through other media means were certified before we accept it.
Right.
And so we view the video with the technologies or the expert, and then he certified the one we can work with. Those that were doctored, we put them aside. That was what we did yesterday on Monday.
Right.
So on Tuesday, identify those who were there as witnesses. In fact, a lot of people were there, including people from outside Parliament, because they all witnessed the vetting of their kinsmen. And identify members of Parliament who were there, because we cannot bring everybody there to come and testify.
That's
so
right.
Identify members of Parliament who were there.
Okay.
But they were not directly involved in the petition. And so that was, so we said that we'll have a public hearing.
Right.
We'll view the video, and then they will give us their witness account of what happened there. We can put it together. That was what we were doing yesterday.
Yes. And that is what we followed along with. So we did see you speak with certain members, and they gave accounts of what they saw from their perspective and where they were positioned. And we had expected that we would hear from the NPP counterparts who were also involved. But sadly, that didn't happen, and the process was truncated. And that's what we're trying to find out, actually. Why was that the case?
So what was there, you remember my vice chair, even though there was no vice chair, we as a lawfully in Parliament tradition is that you have a vice chair from the other side. So we agree that Honorable Parliamentary should be our vice chair. So he was the vice chair, he was there. He's from the NPP, right?
Right.
And so we were watching the video, we were having our program as planned. Then he told me quietly on the side that his leader wanted him in his office.
Okay.
That is the minority leader. And
right.
Okay, well, we've given indication to people to come, and one of your own colleagues was on his way to come and testify.
Right.
So he should wait for that colleague to come so that it will not look like it is only the majority side that will be asking questions.
Sure.
Then, my other I said, well, the gentleman who was coming, the MP who was coming, just tested him and said he has received instruction from their leader, minority leader, not to attend.
All right.
Then my friend also said there's pressure from the minority, their leadership, to see him in his office immediately. So I said, well, you can go. I will continue. So we continue. While doing that, then the clerk of Parliament came and asked that, I should excuse him. So I handed over, initially I handed over to my vice, and I went to meet him. Then so, have I received any message from the speaker? I said, no, I've not received any message from the speaker.
Right.
And he said, then I said, why? As to the public here, I said, I've not received any message from the speaker. In any case, speaker asked that we should continue with the work, even though he has suspended his suspension, we should continue with the work we're doing. He said it categorically on the floor of the House. So we are continuing until I receive any instruction from Speaker. I'm not going to stop because I have met with the Speaker and I've explained to the Speaker what we're supposed to be doing, and we have agreed to it. So I'll go ahead and agree. Then in not quite, he came back again, and so he's afraid he has to ask me to stop. That was the talk to Parliament. Then I said, I'm not stopping today. I'm not stopping tomorrow. Ghanaians need to know what has happened. Then my colleague left to meet with his leadership. Was there, the third came again, the third time. And I repeated it until the Speaker told me directly, I'm not going to stop. Because I don't...
Hello, Honourable. Okay,
Hello.
I think we might have lost Honourable on the line. Honourable, are you still with us? Honourable, can you hear me? Yes. Please carry on. You were telling us what ensued.
I can hear you.
All right, we can hear you now. Please carry on.
So I told him that I don't take instruction from the Speaker. From the Speaker, I'm not going to stop. Then he left.
Okay.
Then he came back the fourth time. He said 4 times. The fourth time he came, and he says, well, the cameras have to go to the chamber because we are about to start chamber work. And I said, well, I announced that the cameras in the hall, the parliamentary cameras, will go to the chamber. I can continue carrying this live because Ghanaians need to know.
Right.
That was when this whole thing started. They said, what we draw is started. That's the clerk to my committee is going to withdraw them. If you withdraw them, then we'll stop them, we'll suspend it. Then they announced that I was going to suspend the sitting because the clerk had disrupted us and he said he needs instruction from the Speaker. So when we start, I granted interview to the media after and I think you heard the interview. Then I called, Lord, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, then I called the majority leader to find out what really was happening. And the majority leader said I should come, they are in conflict, I should come to the Speaker's office. So I went to the Speaker's office.
Right.
And I met with the minority.
All right, so the line is still unclear, but we'll attempt to reconnect with Honourable. I think we've got the full import, or at least a big chunk of the import of what Honourable had to say. We'll call him back and see if we can wrap up on the conversation. But he's making it clear that it wasn't a decision from the Speaker to suspend this ad hoc committee's work. And by work, I'm talking about the probe into the chaos that ensued sometime last week. But rather, he says that the minority decided to withdraw from the process owing to some instructions from the minority leader. And these are perspectives that we hear from the NPP, that they also believe that this committee should be doing its work in camera or outside of the glare of the public. Honourable Bedra is back on the line with us. Honourable, hello. Honourable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. All right, perfect. So we're back on now, and you were clarifying for us that this decision to halt the process did not come from the Speaker, but rather a decision by the minority caucus flowing from a decision from its leadership. Is that correct?
The minority leader, the 2 deputies, and the majority leader were in conclave with the clerk. So it was the clerk that gave me the instruction to stop.
Okay.
Not minority leader,
Sure.
neither any of the leadership.
Okay.
And I told him that I'm not going to stop because I don't take instruction from him. I take instruction from the Speaker or majority leader. So I called the majority leader and I went to meet with the majority leader and other leaders. That includes the 2 deputies and the clerk himself with my committee members. And I asked them what was the problem. Then they told me that before the speaker made his ruling to suspend his suspension, they met with him. That was the minority leader, not majority leader. They met with him, and he pleaded that we should suspend the committee's work. And so when we went on air, they were wondering why the speaker did not inform me. I said, well, the speaker has not informed me. What I heard on the floor was that we should continue with the work. So we are continuing with the work. Until I receive any instruction from the speaker, we are not going to stop. We just suspended it, we'll stop. So they said, well, the speaker has traveled, they cannot hear from him. Then I picked my phone and I called the speaker in their presence. And the speaker said, yes, he did not ask us to stop. If he wanted us to stop, he would have instructed us the day he was giving his judgment. And so in his judgment or statement, he stated clearly that the committee should continue its work and report to the House for the House to take the issue. And so then he said, if we like, we should go and read the Hansard, the official report, to see whether he has stated that we will stop our work. Then the minority leader said, oh, when they met with him, they had this discussion. And then the speaker said, even when we have the discussion, we did not conclude on that discussion that the committee should stop its work. Because in the absence of a committee that's supposed to look into this, the speaker has the right to have a committee or constitute a committee, which is a special committee, because we don't have the privileged committee as we speak now. So this is a committee that is doing the work on behalf of the privileged committee. So it will allow us to do our work. Now, because we have suspended sitting yesterday, I decided that, well, we will have a meeting today. Then in the evening, the speaker called me from where he was to find out how really happened, and I arranged it. And he said we should go ahead. And I told the speaker that I'm not going to work until he called the clerk for the clerk to instruct me to continue, because I used the clerk's name to suspend sitting. And so when he finished, the clerk called me later in the night to say the speaker said we should continue with the work. As it stands now, I'm here to meet with my committee members, and then we'll have a press conference today, and then we'll let Ghanaians know when we are resuming our work. But I am sure that tomorrow we'll continue with the first part, which is the witness that we brought to testify, which will be the public hearing. The second leg will be the in-camera hearing of the culprit, and then we'll show them the videos, and then we'll write our report and present a report to the House.
Right. Now, Honorable, with regards to the conversations that were happening in the back end, what exactly do you think the conversations revolved around?
Well, it is the fact that as members of Parliament, we are afraid to watch our, outside the, in the public. But I don't think that should be. If you're a member of Parliament, you have a title. You have a duty to protect public interest. You have a duty to protect public property. You have a duty to carry yourself in a manner that people will know that you are indeed honorable member of a house. You don't go holding people's dress. You don't go, breaking tables and chairs. You don't go destroying public property. It is unbecoming of a member of Parliament. We are determined to rule. It is not banned. And so, for me, whoever is behind it, who does not want the public to know what has happened, I don't think that would claim our dirty, that the Ghanaians are seen as being dirty. It's not right. We should regain our honor, and the honor and the dignity of the House. And that is exactly what the Speaker wants to do, and that's what he wants to achieve. And I am all in for him to achieve that, to clean the House and test the House and make sure the House restore its honor and dignity.
Honorable, well, off the back of that then, would you say that an in-camera probe then is off the table? Because you say the public should be able to follow along and know exactly what happened on that day.
Yeah, so we will have our press conference today after the meeting, and then we will lay, because I need, this is a democratic institution, I need my colleagues to also be there known. The conversation I have with the speaker and that of the class were personal, and so I need to let them know, and then we'll take the decision as to when we'll continue with the hearing.
Certainly. Well, Honorable, we'll be looking out for that press conference. And as you mentioned, this is something that is of public interest, and the public is following along, and we will be watching.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Again, that was Honorable, I beg your pardon, Emmanuel Bedra. He's the chair of that ad hoc committee that has been set up or was set up by the Speaker to probe the chaos that ensued last Thursday after the vetting process. But of course, this is still the big issue. I've got Shamima and Rodalyn still here with me. They had their bite on that earlier. So I'll quickly get their thoughts on the first 30 days of the Mahama administration, and we can wrap up here on the big issue. Shamima, I think you were making an intervention just before Honorable came on the line. I was just about to come to you. Or was it Rodalyn that I'd come to? I forget. But in fact, Rodalyn, let me start off with you then. Your quick reactions, though. We've had an extensive discussion about what happened yesterday, but just off the intervention by Honorable, what do you make of that in 30 seconds? And then we'll carry on.
You know, remember I said that I had heard that it wasn't the Speaker who stopped the committee from performing their job. So I guess we just have to wait and see and make sure that they're able to come to a conclusion within the 10 days that has been given to them. And then we'll see if from there the Speaker is either going to ask them to. For me, the whole thing is that someone has to pay for whatever has been destroyed. I mean, that's my main thing, because we cannot look at adults destroy public property and just expect that by apologizing we'll let them go.
Right.
I think that somebody has to be held responsible, and if possible, they should make a way of either paying for it or having it repaired or whatever. So far, I think that is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then moving on as well, your assessment of the first 30 days, the appointments that have been made.
I think the appointments are good. I'm excited about a few. Haruna Idrisu for education as a minister. I'm excited about that one. John Domelo for agriculture, a park for education, and Jafar Umashi for tourism. And I'm excited about these people for various reasons. I'm looking at Haruna Idrisu and looking at the fact that there's going to be a review by the president or the government of the senior high school policy. And I'm also looking at the nursing trainees, the teacher training allowances, all the things that are going into that. I'm just looking at Haruna Idrisu being able to handle it.
Okay.
Being a former student leader, and he's got very good interpersonal skills for such things. And I look at John Domelo, a young man he's gone from the entertainment industry, he's gone into agriculture. He's been given an opportunity to be a deputy minister for Agric. So I'm looking at a situation where he'll be able to get more young people interested in agriculture, because that's the way to go. And I see Jafar Gumashi as tourism minister also opening up more after the year of return. We've seen so many things happen from the diaspora. We've benefited a lot from tourism.
Right.
And Ghana has been put on the map, especially when you look at our foods and things. Shito is riding high. Even Kosiani Moko is riding high. Our fufu, our banku, everything is riding high. So I'm hoping that she'll be able to bring in more of such things that will benefit Ghanaians and create more jobs for everyone. And finally, APAC, I think education is important, and I think he's very good at that.
Thank you, Rodalyn, for that. Shamima, I'll give you 2 minutes just to weigh in on that last conversation, and also the first 30 days, what Ghanaians can expect also moving forward.
I think that we've gotten some clarity on the way forward, and as you have said, we would wait to see from their press conference how they intend to proceed with the hearings, and whether or not the minority side would make a showing at all. But 30 days is all we've been in government for, but it would seem as if it's been longer than that, and that's because of the activities that have been packed within those 30 days. I think those are clear indications of just how ready this government is to begin the hard, arduous task of resetting this country and recovering this economy and easing the hardships. If you took a look at our 100-day social contract with the good people of Ghana. We made a number of promises, and it is very heartwarming to sit here today, proudly so, to see that His Excellency truly is committed to those promises. In fact, within the first 2 weeks, he had said he was going to announce his cabinet. We did it. And as I said earlier, we've been able to vet our first round of ministers. The cabinet is in readiness. Some have started their work. That is very significant. We also spoke about a number of review things that we expect to do to start us off on the good reset journey, and that was the Constitution Review Committee, which was set up, announced, and sworn in. They've started work already. The National Education Dialogue Committee, Preparatory Committee, has been announced. They've started work already. They have 2 weeks to submit a report. The National Economic Dialogue Forum, the committee members, also led by Ishmael Yamson, is already beginning the preparatory work.
Very busy indeed. Certainly no honeymoon period here.
All 30 minutes. So we've done so much, and I just want to assure Ghanaians that we will build this Ghana that we want together. We wish that you cooperate with us. We wish that you support us and you would give us constructive feedback.
Certainly.
And together we would avoid the distractions from the minority side, even though they have a right in a democracy to have their say, but we will not allow them to spread the fake news. So please come aboard.
Thank you, Shamima,
for the next 30 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this morning I was joined by Shamima Muslim. She's a deputy presidential spokesperson. Also Rodalyn Imoru Ayana, member of Movement for Change. We also had with us Dr. Samuel Ifrie. He's a political and economics analyst. And we also had Honorable Bedra clarify some things for us as far as the ad hoc committee probe is concerned. Of course, this is still a new day. Don't go too far. We will be
Season 2. Season 2.